Think of the female reproductive system as a meticulous five-star hotel. Its primary goal is to prepare a pristine, fully stocked room for a VIP guest, a potential baby. The hotel runs on a strict timeline, renovating this room roughly every 28 days. To manage this constant cycle of preparation, the brain and the ovaries communicate using chemical messengers. They send instructions back and forth through the bloodstream to coordinate the work. Think of these chemical messengers as a specialized construction crew made up of 4 key workers. There's FSH, our starter, estrogen, the builder, LH, the launcher, and finally, progesterone, the keeper. These 4 roles serve as the blueprint for understanding how the reproductive cycle actually functions on a day-to-day basis. We start our tracking at day 1. This marks the beginning of the menstruation phase. It is triggered when the system detects that no VIP guest arrived during the previous month. Look at the bottom tier. Because no guest arrived, hormone levels drop, and the thick endometrial wall loses its support. The tissue breaks down and sheds. Meanwhile, the brain looks ahead, releasing a chemical signal called GnRH to initiate a brand new cycle. This phase is essentially a biological reset. The old lining has to be removed before the body can begin the next round of renovations. By day 6, the cleanup is done. We enter the follicular phase, and the brain sends out our first worker, FSH, the starter. FSH travels to the ovary, stimulating a primary follicle. As the follicle matures over the next week, it pumps out our second worker, the rising magenta line, estrogen, the builder. Estrogen travels straight to the uterus, laying down fresh new tissue to thicken the wall. The maturing egg is essentially directing its own future, producing the chemical instructions required to build a home for itself. Everything builds toward a climax on day 14. By now, the growing follicle has pushed estrogen to its peak level. That high estrogen peak forces the brain to respond. The pituitary gland floods the system with LH, the launcher, indicated by this sharp amber spike. Look closely. That sudden LH surge causes the follicle to burst, ejecting the mature egg. We call this ovulation. With the egg released, the preparation phase concludes. The system is now actively waiting for the arrival of the VIP guest. Following ovulation, we enter the luteal phase. The empty follicle shell doesn't disappear. LH transforms it into a new golden structure called the corpus luteum. It immediately hires our final worker, pumping out the hormone driving this massive green wave, progesterone, the keeper. Progesterone's main job is final preparation. This cross-section shows it maximizing the uterine wall, packing it with fresh blood vessels. Simultaneously, progesterone acts as a security guard, chemically blocking the brain from releasing new FSH or LH, ensuring no new eggs develop. By day 21, the system is stabilized, paused, and biologically ready to support a pregnancy. All that remains is the arrival. Around day 22, the cycle reaches a biological fork in the road. As this diagram outlines, the fate of all this preparation depends entirely on the presence of a fertilized egg. Let's trace path A first. If an egg travels through the fallopian tube but is never fertilized by a sperm, the corpus luteum eventually withers and dies. The top tier shows the immediate consequence. As the corpus luteum dies, progesterone and estrogen take a steep, sudden crash. On the bottom layer, without progesterone holding it together, the uterine wall breaks apart. Menstruation begins and the cycle resets. This collapse allows the body to conserve energy. It stops maintaining a resource-heavy environment for a guest that didn't arrive. Following path B, everything changes. A single sperm fertilizes the egg, creating a new cell that rapidly divides as it travels to the uterus. Once nested in the thick uterine wall, this tiny cluster of cells releases a powerful chemical rescue signal called HCG. In the middle tier, HCG overrides the system. It commands the corpus luteum to survive, continuously pumping out high volumes of progesterone. On the bottom layer, because progesterone never drops, the uterine wall stays intact, safely nourishing early fetal growth. Looking at the whole 28-day timeline, you can see how the starter, builder, launcher, and keeper all coordinate their timing. The menstrual cycle is a highly coordinated series of chemical signals, meticulously timing every renovation to provide the best possible start for a new life.